So LinkedIn Accelerator. So what we're going to talk through today is an introduction to LinkedIn Accelerator, a bit about what it is, how it works, and then we're going to talk about the audiences within LinkedIn Accelerator and Sales Navigator. Then we are going to look at the campaigns, how you set them up, how you run them. Then we will move on to the reporting side of LinkedIn Accelerator. And then finally, we're going to look at the SSI score. Some of you may not know what this is. It isn't directly linked to LinkedIn Accelerator, but if you don't know what it is, I think you'll find it quite interesting. So we will begin with just an overview of LinkedIn Accelerator. To date, there are over 750 million users on LinkedIn. It is predominantly a business-to-business networking platform. And LinkedIn Accelerator is not paid advertising. It's not like advertising on Facebook or Pinterest or Instagram. It's accelerating your organic networking activity across LinkedIn. And the audiences that you use for your campaigns are all based on the parameters and sort of the variables of every single person's LinkedIn profile, but we'll come on to that in more detail shortly. So what is LinkedIn Accelerator? So essentially, LinkedIn Accelerator is a new way to approach and accelerate your organic activity. Through the platform and the tools that we have, we can create audiences that are bespoke and relevant to you, and campaigns that will allow you to connect with relevant users across LinkedIn through the automated personalized messaging sequences that we can set up for you. How it works, there's sort of three main steps to it, as I touched on the itinerary. There's the audience, the campaign, and then the messaging. So you start with your target audience, you build the campaign out. One thing you need to make sure you have access to and subscribe to is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I'm sure some of you will already have that, but that basically, it's like LinkedIn Pro. It gives you access to sort of the more in-depth analysis and sort of back end of LinkedIn. Once you've got your audience and your campaign and everything's up and running, you can send up to 100 connection requests per week. This used to be more. Around about 5-6 months ago, LinkedIn put a cap on the number of connection requests you could send each week. So yeah, now it's 100 per week. Once you've got the campaign up and running and your messages are going out to people, the conversations then begin. You can send up to 3, 4, 5 messages. What happens is basically once someone's responded to you, it's a warm lead. You then pick up that conversation from there. If they don't respond after the first message, we set up the automation so we can then hit them with a second, third, or even a fourth message. So with the campaigns, the audiences are completely bespoke and relevant to how and who you want to target. You look at multiple variations and parameters, whether it's sort of, it could be the company size, it could be where they're based in the UK, it could be outside of the UK, the industry they work in, their job title, their seniority level. Well, I'll show you more examples shortly, but there are lots and lots of different ways you can create your bespoke audience, which is it's probably the main factor of LinkedIn Accelerator. So you're not needlessly sending requests to people who are not going to be interested in working together with you, or they're not going to need to use your business. It's a way of making sure that the targeting is very granular. So an example of an audience. So this is a screenshot of an existing campaign. As you can see on this, we have used for this campaign job titles, industry, and geographical locations. So in this instance, we're targeting people who are in the insurance industry. They're based in the 4 geographical locations you can see there, and their current job title is an account executive or a senior account executive. There's more parameters available. You can add in as much or as little as you like. What you'll find is the more parameters you add in, the smaller the search results will then be. So on this example, we can see with these parameters in place, we have got 316 results. So it's 316 people in your audience who you can then try and connect with and then start a conversation, hopefully lead to some meaningful business. What's also good is whilst we're creating the audience, it will give you a sort of snapshot on the right hand side, a little flavour of the audience. So we can see here, you know, are the people in this audience the right people? Do they have the right job title? Are they in the right industry? So we can look through that, and then that just ensures that the campaign is going to be reaching the correct people. Again, if we were looking at a different campaign, let's say there was an insurance company who were looking to provide insurance for dentists, dental practices, dental practice owners, things such as that. We can do that again through these parameters. So we've expanded it a little bit and changed it from the previous one. So the industry they're involved in or working in is dentists or dentistry in the United Kingdom. And then through the job titles, we can see we've added in dental specialist, dental hygienist, practice owner. Also, you can add in years of experience. So if you're maybe looking to connect and speak to maybe someone slightly older with more experience, you can add that in. Or for argument's sake, if your campaign, you needed to sort of connect with maybe younger professionals, you can target people with less years of experience. And then again, we can see on the right hand side, this campaign is going to give us the type of people we want to be connected with, because as we can see here, all these people are dentists or principal dentists at various dental clinics. So you then move on to the campaign setup. You've created your audience, it's correct, it's who you want to be connected with. You then need to begin the campaign build, and there's four main things. There are other things, but the four main things you want to make sure are correct, and we will make sure are correct for you, is that the time and day that requests are getting sent out, because with LinkedIn predominantly being business to business, most people are on LinkedIn during business working hours, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So you want to make sure that those are set up. You can tailor them if you want to send on sort of maybe just a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or certain times of the day. That can all be amended and altered whilst the campaign's being set up. You also want to look at the number of requests going per day. Two reasons for this. One is because of the cap per week, so only up to 100. So you could technically be sending 20 a day, Monday to Friday. But the second reason why you want to think about the number of requests you're sending per day is the size of your audience. If you've only got 200 or 300 people in there, you don't want to be burning through them all within a week or two. So you could look to say, let's send 5 a day or 10 a day. That you get more longevity out of the campaign and the audience then. The third thing you want to be looking at is the content of your messaging. As I said, we usually send 3 to 4 messages. The first one usually being a softer introduction, and that's your connection message, giving people, a reason, and they want an incentive to connect with you. And then in the follow-up messages, you then expand. You talk about yourself, your business, what you could offer people. And then, the fourth one sort of ties into the third one, is the number of messages you send. So this is sort of like a workflow of how the campaign and the sequencing works with the messaging. So the first message is the introduction message. If they reject it there and then, the messaging goes no further. If they then accept the messaging connection request, they then receive the second message. This is where you'll give a bit more detail and information about yourself. If they reply there and then, the automation sequence then stops, because we don't need to keep sending messages to that person because they've replied to you. You then pick up and start an organic conversation on LinkedIn, and hopefully that leads to some meaningful conversations. If they don't reply after the second message, it moves on to the third message. Again, similar scenario to the example above. If they reply, brilliant, you then pick up that message and carry on the conversation. If they don't reply, depending on how many messages you've set up, if there's a fourth, it'll go to the fourth message. If you've just capped it at 3, the sequence will then stop. So this is an example of a campaign. As you remember on a few slides ago, we mentioned you can set the time and day. So this is an example of a current campaign we've got running for Coversure. between us, we decided that we will send these out at fairly generic business hours, Monday to Friday, 9 AM to 5 PM. So nothing goes on the weekends, because the chances are most people will reply or accept the connection request on a working day. And for this campaign, we have opted to send out 3 messages. That includes the connection. And now we can look at the content of the messages. I appreciate this is quite small, but if the slides are getting sent around after, you'll be able to, have a look. But it sort of paints the picture how the connection message, the top message, is the short, sharper connection, and then after that, more detail then comes after, so you can start to tell them a bit more about yourself. We have found in the past that the optimum number of messages to send is between 3 and 4. Anything more than that can look a bit, not spammy, but also almost bordering on sort of pestering them. So if they haven't accepted after 3, sometimes 4, it's best just to leave them alone and we'll move on to the next person. And this is another example. This is the same campaign. This is for Covershaw. For this campaign, because of the size of the audience, we have opted to send 10 requests per day. And this information that you can see on the screenshot, this would all be shared with clients throughout the course of a campaign. It basically gives you an overview of how the campaign is performing. So we can see currently 50 connection requests have gone out, of which 19 have been accepted. So it's a 38% acceptance rate, which is really, really strong. And then we've got an 11% response rate. So out of the 19 people who've accepted so far, 2 have responded. It's actually a couple of days old, that screenshot. It's actually got better since I took that, which is really good. Oh, that's the same one. Then on to reporting. So as I said, throughout the campaign, we share all the results and findings. And what we then do at the start of each month to look back at the previous month is send a bespoke Google Data Studio report to yourself. And this will give you a more in-depth review of how your campaign has performed. So as we can see here from this screenshot, throughout the course of the month, we'd sent 660 connection requests out. 194 of them were accepted, and there was 42 responses, which is strong performance, especially the number of accepted connection requests. And what you also have to remember with LinkedIn Accelerator is sometimes you won't get the end result you're looking for there and then. They may not be in the market, for your business or what your offering is at that time. But because you are then connected with that person, if you're posting on LinkedIn, if you're, sharing blogs, updates, whatever it might be, these people will then see that content from you. So there's a longer lasting effect to LinkedIn Accelerator as well, because it's growing your organic sort of reach, as well as giving you a chance to start these meaningful conversations with people. What we also include in the reports is a full breakdown. It's a bit of a data dump, but as you can see here, these have been anonymized for the purpose of this webinar. But within the report, you will have a breakdown of every single person who has accepted your connection request. And what that enables us and you to be able to do is refine the audience, because we can look through the data and it gives you their name, their occupation, their company name, and the industry that they work in. And if we start to see trends occurring, if we see similar job titles, similar industries are all appearing for people who have accepted, then we then know, right, that's the audience, that's the industry, that's the sort of job titles we need to be targeting, because they're the people who are responding and connecting with you. So it's really invaluable data, just to allow us to hone and refine the campaigns as we move forward. Now on to the SSI score. As I said, some of you may already be aware of what this is, some of you may not, but basically the SSI score is a measurement from LinkedIn. It's ranked from 1 to 100, and it measures the strength of your profile and what you're doing on LinkedIn. And the score of 0 to 100 is split out in 4 categories, and each of them is worth 25 points. And the 4 categories that you're measured on are professional brand, finding the right people, insight engagement, and building relationships. Now, I've got more information on this, which I'd be happy to share. I didn't want to include it in the slides because it's quite lengthy, it's quite in depth, but each section is broken down and it gives you pointers and sort of recommendations on how you can improve each area. You can find your LinkedIn SSI score simply through your LinkedIn profile. Again, I'd be more than happy to share a link across with you after the call, because it's quite interesting to, when you actually look at your own score, and because it splits it out, it tells you sort of, you know, where your strengths are, where you could look to grow. Yeah, so just, yeah, what is your SSI score? Be quite interesting to for you all to have a look after and see where you could improve it. And finally, just I think the key takeaways, just 4 things that, you know, I'd like you all to just remember after this call is, so the strengths of LinkedIn Accelerator and the benefits are being able to create those bespoke, relevant audiences, really granular. Any sort of targeting you're looking to add in, it can be done. The number of connection requests up to 20 per day. The detailed and insightful reporting that is available through our platforms, and also the long-term benefits. As I said, even if they don't sort of have a need for your business immediately, you know, they will still see you on LinkedIn, and if you're posting and sharing, then you stay in front of mind with the people who you need to be connected with. And that was the presentation. Thank you very much, everyone.